Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to this edition of the news in English on Rwanda Television. With me, Serge Nore. Let us start with the headlines. Prime Minister Dr. Justin Nsengiyumva is in Gabon to represent His Excellency President Paul Kagame at the inauguration of the Libreville Congress and the Libreville International Forum. Now straight to the details. Thank you again for taking the time to join us. Prime Minister Dr. Justin Nsengiyumva has arrived in Libreville, that's in Gabon, to represent His Excellency President Paul Kagame at the inauguration of the Libreville Congress and the Libreville International Forum, both scheduled for Sunday. Upon arrival at Leomba International Airport, the Prime Minister was received by that country's Vice President. Now, foreigners who attended the 47th African Volleyball Confederation competition held here in Kigali have praised the hospitality they received and the infrastructure they found here, while sports analysts say Rwanda will gain much more than sports from hosting the competition. Since April the 20th, volleyball fans in Africa had their eyes on Kigali, where 24 teams competing to be the best in the sport on the African continent had gathered. Now, former volleyball players have noted that the games were an opportunity to show that the level of indoor sports here in Rwanda has improved drastically. The games, which were held at the BK Arena in Petit Stade, provided an opportunity to showcase the infrastructure the country has achieved. The competition held in Rwanda has left the country with a historic achievement, as it was the first time that a Rwandan team had reached the final of the African competition. Now, the Rwanda Security Force deployed in Mosia da Praia, that's in Cabo Delgado province in Mozambique, has joined local residents, public institutions, and Mozambican security forces in community work to clean up the town and improve sanitation. Both the town leadership and the Rwanda Security Force praised the initiative, stressing shared responsibility for community well-being and commitment to cooperation. Now to matters back here at home. The National Bank of Rwanda says expanding women's access to business credit could have a major impact on employment and household incomes as women continue to dominate Rwanda's small and medium enterprise sector. Officials say that easing financing barriers for female entrepreneurs is now central to efforts aimed at inclusive economic growth. William Evans Mutabazi with the details.
For many women trying to start or grow a business, the biggest challenge is not lack of ideas, but lack of capital. From Sanze to Huye, female entrepreneurs say that access to finance remains one of the toughest barriers, with many unable to secure loans because of limited collateral, small savings, or lack of confidence from lenders. Usually face challenges with loans because we lack collateral. Some of our husbands don't trust us, and many still think that women are for only domestic work. But if they support us, we can also be able to contribute significantly to our household economic growth. We could get a loan, and upon its reception, your husband asks you to hand it over to him, claiming it's his, leaving you servicing the loan. This is a common occurrence. Yet also some men demand that women must return home early enough to prepare them dinner because they will not eat food made by house helps. For a woman in business, this is also inconveniencing. But for Anne-Marie and Jeanette Witonze, persistence has slowly turned those obstacles into opportunities. Today, one runs a clothing business while the other deals in vehicle spare parts, sectors traditionally seen as difficult for women to penetrate. They say with easier and more affordable financing, many more women could move from survival trade into sustainable entrepreneurship. For me, I told myself that I am able. Then I started finding ways to save, and I have a house that I use for collateral that is valued above 50 million. Looking at the loans we process from banks, the interests are usually high. That once you overthink about it, you might end up not taking the loan. Banks should ease the process of women accessing loans with lower interests to support their personal development and that of their families. Is this financing gap that has prompted Rwanda's Association of Microfinance Institutions, AMIL, to adopt international principles under the Women Entrepreneur Finance Initiative. The program is designed to encourage financial institutions to create lending systems that better respond to women-owned businesses. The major issue is about high interests. What we are doing is introduce a facility fund to different institutions to support women access low-interest loans. The initiative is backed by the German development partner DSIK, whose country director says that Rwanda stands out as one of the most promising countries to achieve meaningful progress in women's enterprise financing.
For Rwanda, we really see that they are advancing in women empowerment. So I believe, especially on the African continent, Rwanda is very far and also very much engaged. You see the high-level leadership, the politics, how much effort they put and they support. They want really to ensure that it's not only on policy level, but really implemented in every village. And there we are in a unique situation that we can work together also with the government and work together on reaching the objectives and the targets.
The National Bank of Rwanda says the case for investing in women goes beyond equality. Officials argue that women make up the majority of the population and the sectors they invest in often create jobs and provide essential goods and services for low-income communities.
Agenda champions, and they have conducted internal gender policy trainings. So far, 12,700 women-led MSMEs have benefited from training and mentorship programs nationwide in just 1 year. And the ecosystem partnership has unlocked financing for 2,426 beneficiaries, including innovative bank fintech collaborations. So additional innovations that are coming include women business centers and data dashboard. What is possible when commitment is matched with collaboration?
In Rwanda, women already account for 40% of small-scale investment. Over the next 5 years, financial institutions are expected to issue more than 18,000 business loans under the initiative, with 80% targeted at women-led enterprises. Officials say that could help create more than 140,000 jobs.
Now, tourism operators here in Rwanda say more Rwandans are now embracing domestic travel, with growing numbers visiting national parks and leisure sites, once considered destinations mainly for foreign tourists. The trend is increasingly being seen as a new source of revenue for local communities and the wider tourism sector. William Evans Mutabazi continues.
From game drives in Akagera National Park to family outings at Nyandungu Eco Park, domestic tourists are becoming an increasingly visible part of Rwanda's visitor economy. For many Rwandans, visiting the country's natural attractions is no longer viewed as a luxury reserved for international travelers, but as a practical way to relax, learn and reconnect with nature.
Navuga yuko mbere byari bitandukanye kubera yuko byatwaraga umuntu igihe. I
can say that at first it was different because it took one time or sometimes taking a day off to travel outside Kigali to visit parks and return exhausted by the journey. But when the Eco Park was established, you can even pass by after work to refresh your mind a bit.
Just to refresh your mind, kugira ngo uruhure mu mutwe.
There are lots of fun activities to enjoy, like game drives, and there are also different types of birds, so bird watching is also another good option. I have seen lots of animals and I have enjoyed this new experience. Beyond leisure, the rise on local tourism is also translating into income for surrounding communities. Near major attractions, residents say that cooperatives involved in handcrafts, food sales and guide services are seeing stronger business as more visitors flow in. In our different cooperatives, we pay Ejo Heza and community insurance plans, and none of our members has a child out of school due to lack of tuition. Managers at Nyandungu Eco Park said that 2025 registered a notable increase in foot traffic driven largely by local visitors seeking affordable recreational spaces within Kigali.
Nk'urugero uhereye 2024 imibare yari igeze ku 76 birenga by'abayisura.
In 2024, we had more than 760,000 visitors, and this number shot higher in 2025, reaching 111,000 visitors. 70% of these were Rwandans, which demonstrates that Nyandungu Park has boosted domestic tourism.
Cyangwa se ibyo bahabona bibashimishije bituma umubare ugenda wiyongera. Ari nako umubare w'abanyamahanga cyangwa se abanyamahanga mu Rwanda nawo ugenda wiyongera.
At Akadia National Park, officials say that targeted discount packages for Rwandans, especially group travelers, have also helped make wildlife tourism more accessible.
Ibiciro byacu nicyo nanone u Rwanda abantu barukundira nubwo dufite ibiciro twita high end.
Our prices cut across. We have both high and low budget plans. These enable all people to make their visit. From Kigali to here, it takes about 2 hours and will only cost about 15,000 for all Rwandans, and there are usually discounts for group visits.
Bakorera ibigo bya leta cyangwa ibyikorera bishyize hamwe babona igabanyirizwa rishobora kuva kuri 50% cyangwa se no gukurirwaho amafaranga kwinjira.
The Rwanda Development Board says revenues generated by national parks rose by 5.2% in 2025 to reach $40.8 million, reflecting sustained demand for nature-based tourism. Overall, national tourism revenue climbed to $685 million last year.
The RPF Inkotanyi Party in the northern provinces launched the second phase of a campaign aimed at completely eradicating stunting and malnutrition in the province. The campaign includes activities to teach residents how to cultivate vegetable gardens, plant fruit trees, and teach parents how to properly feed their children. Gicumbi district in the northern province has the highest number of stunted children in the country at 38.2%. The leadership of the party in the district has promised strong measures to address the issue. Gicumbi district has had the highest rate of stunting among children under the age of 5, while the figure in Burera is 37.6%. Now, both districts are in the northern province. Now, Rwanda's Biomedical Center is urging the public to undergo regular screening for non-communicable diseases, warning that many cases are only detected after serious complications have emerged. The call comes as health sciences students from the University of Rwanda begin a 2-day campaign in Kigali to offer free screening and raise awareness on the conditions often described as silent killers. William Evans Mutabazi with more.
At Kabuga Bus Terminal, medical screening tents set up by health science students from the University of Rwanda offered free tests for some of the country's most common non-communicable diseases. For many residents, it was a rare and welcome opportunity. It's a great opportunity for me, and I was happy that this found me where I stay. I was able to do checkups, and I know my results. You may be fine today, but find that you are sick tomorrow. This could cause speculation on what you are suffering from. That is why it's important that you check and you know your health status. The student-led campaign, which runs for 2 days, is targeting areas with large public gatherings in an effort to bring preventive health care closer to communities. Student representative Emmanuel Niogisubizo says that the exercise is not only practical training, but also a contribution to national health awareness. This is a great moment for us as medical students to make our contribution to the country through our knowledge to help our communities. Medical professionals say that regular testing remains one of the most effective ways to detect these illnesses early and reduce long-term complications. According to research, almost 47% of the deaths are non-communicable diseases. And in communities like this we have visited, you find that almost 60% of the people die from such diseases.
People with 35 years old, their bodies started to change, and they are no longer having the capacity as it was when they are still young. That's why we start for 35 years old people, so that we check if they have such diseases, NCDs, non-communicable diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, and obesity. That's why we start for these people. Then, for them, it's better to early detect these diseases so that they get early treatment and early education to their health, so that they can live long and live better with a high quality of health. We are specifically screening hypertension, diabetes, and obesity. Those are the three ones, NCDs, that are leading to other NCDs that are very critical, such as cardiovascular diseases and the other problems of stroke, heart diseases, and other peripheral vascular diseases. Those are the ones that's the end points of these diseases. When a person arrives to the end stage, where there is no reversibility of this stage. That's why we start early to prevent that those critical ones happen, so that people may know their status at early stage, get treatment, and stop the progression of the disease. We are targeting 1,000 persons at this level, and we aim to get to the various places in Rwanda, so that we target we give the chance to all of the Rwandans to get tested early. The recent studies showed that around between 15 and 17 have been tested hypertension, but there are around 46% of people who don't know their status about hypertension. This means that this range of people who have these diseases, unknowingly, unconsciously, they can reach to the stage where these diseases are unreversible. That's why we aim to reach to various spaces, so that we can test, we can give them their status, and you can educate them as early as possible, so that they can get the treatment, the real treatment, the early treatment in real time.
Rwanda Biomedical Center official says that beyond screening, prevention also depends on healthier lifestyles, including proper diet, exercise, and routine medical checkups. As a preventive measure, we encourage them to exercise. Taking a lot of water and having enough rest is also a good thing to do. And for those that are already infected, heed to prescribed medication and advice. The campaign is screening for 3 major conditions: high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity. Those found at risk are being referred to the nearby health centers for further monitoring and treatment. Health officials say the message is simple: the earlier these diseases are detected, the greater the chance of controlling them before they become life-threatening.
Thank you, William. Now, Frida Omuhoza was just 14 years old when she survived the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. She was the only survivor of her family. Today, living in Australia, she has turned her pain into purpose as an author, using her voice to preserve the truth, fight genocidal ideologies, and pass on Rwanda's history to the next generation, including her own children. We bring you her story of resilience and remembrance.
First of all, I've put it in a book, Freda Chosen to Die, Destined to Live. And writing the book, I actually knew had been thinking about, I put my story down of my survival because I may not be able to get to everyone, I may not be able to get to every country, but when you write a book, you're speaking to people that you will never meet, you go into houses that you will never go into, and when I go into schools, when I speak to students, because I do speak to students who are 14 and above, mostly, those are high school, which was also the age that I was when the genocide happened. But when you speak to 10 students, 20 students, you know you've spoken to 20 families. And they go home, they will discuss with their families, and they will tell the true story of a survivor and the true history of Rwanda, on the Rwanda people, the Rwandan people. And then you get to hear from parents. You sometimes also get to hear from other groups that will invite you because you have spoken into schools. So really, my way of educating the public is through my book and through my personal story, and as well as just educating, in a broader way, what happened and how the genocide was, perpetrated against my people and how it was carried out and how we're still seeing the genocide denials in our communities where we live in Australia. So those are the channels that I use through the book. Students will read my book, and then I'll go later on to speak to their class and give them a chance and opportunity to ask questions as they have read the book. I started writing in a journal when I was about 16. And the journal later on became a book. Later on it became speaking, but it was more of, first of all, the healing process for myself. And then it became also, I think the older you get, the older you understand the gravity and the pain that is actually in what we've lived, in how we survived the genocide against the Tutsis and what we've lost. I think the older you get, and then becoming a mother as well, I didn't want my children to grow up and not knowing their history, because my history is their history, and especially when you're raising children abroad as well. So that's their legacy, but also what pushed me the most was also to preserve the memories of my people, memories of my family and other families. We do know that during the commemoration we'll have a lot of families that were wiped out, and no one is there to tell their story. And so I think it was also to keep the memories of our people and to also show the resilience of our country and how our country can rebuild. So those are things, it was to educate, to preserve, and to fight the denial, because when you talk about the denial, we're probably going to fight it for a very, very long time, because we're seeing it even in a younger generation. It has carried on from the perpetrators to their perpetrators' children. And so I think we still have a lot of work to do. But with the book, even if I pass away in however long that God is gonna give me here, but my child will have that book. People will have read that story that is written in a book, even when I'm not here anymore, or even when another survivor is not here. So I think those are the reasons to why I chose to write and speak up. History as ours, I think it comes, also you have to make it your choice that you're gonna put that resilience at work. It's being able to bounce back and be able to, so it becomes a way of life every single day. You can't say, oh, I've arrived. I actually always tell people that resilience is a school where no one graduates. So today you may wake up and you're stronger, but tomorrow then you're probably feeling a bit fragile and so on, but then that doesn't mean that you don't have that resilience. I think the resilience is being able to bounce back and tell your story, to teach others and pass it on to other people, but as well as living through our traumas as well and allowing ourselves to heal and to use that history to teach the world.
Now, let me leave it at that for now. But I'll be back soon again with the next edition, and I hope to see you again soon. Till then, goodbye.